What is up, my people? Welcome back to the channel. I'm your boy Nassim the Dream, and welcome back for yet another album review. This is going to be my first one of a brand new album in 2023, and I'm doing it with a little bit of a new angle. I got some new tech we're trying out. So, guys, let me know if you've been sticking with the channel, how you like this angle. Let me know down in the comments. I really appreciate it. Do not forget to like and subscribe for more content, as it helps the channel grow and grow. And today, I will be reviewing this brand new Lil Yachty album. Let's start here. Mableton, Georgia rapper Lil Yachty has made an incredibly drastic change, folks. Now, Yachty has recently re-sparked some heat to his name when dropping the Love single Poland, which is also not included on this LP. And the reason why I bring this up is because this single demonstrates not a single sign of consideration to really change or shift his focus to a whole other world of music. With this album, he has landed on an entirely different planet, specifically the land of psych rock. This project does have plenty of help added to it, with numerous writers and producers that are accustomed to the sound. You have Jacob Portrait of Unknown Mortal Orchestra, you got Patrick Wimberly from synth pop duo Chairlift. There's a bunch of credit given to Justin Raisin, whom has worked with numerous artists such as David Bowie, Charlie XCX, Lizzo, and more. Plus some guest appearances that definitely had me very excited when we had Matthew and Micah from Magdalena Bay appear on this record. We had Ben Goldenwasser on MGMT. Then we had Nick Hakim on here as well. And then there's even a Tory Lanez credit on here too, which is okay. The point is, there is a shit ton of talent on this new Lil Yachty record that really helped shape the project to what it's become. We begin with the Black Seminole, that is just such a hot flame so early on, with incredible progressive rock influences embellished with luminescent synthesizers, road pianos, and psychedelic guitar solos. I love the influences going into the song right off the bat. The singing from Diana Gordon on the back end was marvelous. And I've heard all the Pink Floyd Dark Side of the Moon references because of the intro, and honestly, I feel like this reminds me more of the beginning sequences of The Wall instead. I really get that influence because of how the guitars are laid out in this sequence. It really just gives me that reminder of how the beginning of The Wall is, from In the Flesh all the way to The Thin Ice, and then Another Brick in the Wall Part 1. And then we go into like some more 80s nostalgia pop, what's containing on the second installment, The Ride, featuring Tizo Touchdown. This has this smooth Miami Vice feeling to it. Its atmospheres and synths are just so gripping. By the time I reach the third track, I'm just in disbelief. Who is this man? The man is going in with this infectious disco paradise, and on top of that, he sounds great on this particular song. I am in love with the bass playing on here especially. And there's also some slow burners worth mentioning, like with the song Pretty featuring Fushi. Now, they are kind of ridiculous, but I really do like Yachty's vibrato on this song on here. It's like so over the top, but like you can't help but to love it. But Fushi on this song, sheesh. Yachty is not only delivering feels, but sentimental monologues as well from the track Failure. He's presenting the spoken word on the term failure when reflecting on his own failures, but most importantly, the change in his perspective. He's acknowledged the fact that money and fame don't bring paradise, as there's still troubles in his life that have occurred yet no one would believe since he's so successful. And also presenting a more mature and balanced state of mind adopted after certain experiences, like from when his house got robbed. Now, I know the sentiment is very revisited, and I can see why people think that maybe this isn't so genuine, even though I disagree. I really do love what Yachty is really expressing on here. It shows such a beautiful optimism into his ideal of philosophy that I feel is so healthy to view this way. When you're saying failure doesn't mean you lose, it means you become better from it. Personally, I do think this record is fairly consistent, especially with the aesthetic of going into psych rock and pop. The instrumentals have so much life presence on here. Yachty was able to be animated when he really needed to be, and he may have not tapped in at full potential from song to song at certain moments for certain verses for sure, but his vision is so exotic start to finish. We go in full throttle back into the disco influences with the eighth highlight Drive Me Crazy with Diana Gordon, who is wonderful across this entire LP. With the synth chords crushing into the sequence transition to Yachty spinning a soft verse, sounding like it's from like a Euphoria soundtrack. Yachty begins to expand more with some psychedelia, with the chaotic sound design leading the track I've Officially Lost Vision, that essentially tackles the notion of drug effects and how it can really deteriorate the mindfulness of one. From distant overloaded electric guitars to beds of strings follows a visionary chase into the endless forest. That, my friend, is the stanza I would stamp onto the visionary of this song. There's also a vocal moment from Yachty on the tail end of Say Something that is ferocious. It begins to become like a heavy dopamine trigger to me. And I also felt the record reached a strong conclusion sonically with the outro track Reach the Sunshine featuring Daniel Caesar. This track powers with thick, crunchy synth chords transitioning into spacious passages ruled by acoustics that are just so filled with reverb and capitalized with yet more epic psych rock, thus leading us into some beautiful pianos. So, if it isn't obvious enough from all my praisal, this is an extraordinary upgrade from Yachty. I just wouldn't have expected him to make such a drastic step away from the trap scene, making something so profound in hip-hop and R&B through a psych rock and pop engine. The craftsmanship alone is astonishing in quality. I really felt the production felt so potent through each of these tracks. I think I find myself so enamored by the finish of this record just because of the lack of motivation and expectation I had going into this album, thus resulting in the reckoning of my arrogance for doubting him. But due to the overly dramatic emotional response I normally give for things, I had to really heal myself and just give this record a couple more listens through and really make sure I give an honest evaluation. Is this record perfect? No, of course not. There's plenty of moments on here where there is songwriting material that felt recycled, moments that didn't really exceed progression and momentum, verses that felt awkward, and there's moments on here that felt a little silly with the vibrato, many times actually. And sometimes this album kind of shows itself to be vulnerable in terms of the creativity. It just really seems like on some of these songs, it's kind of obvious when they draw a blank. But dude, honestly, who gives a fuck? The work is put in here. For sure, the thought of syncing more professionals was executed. The influences alone are so inspiring from a consumer's perspective because this record defines what rap could potentially become. I just see this record adding to some of the successful hip-hop artists that have indulged into a vision that's beyond their field. And the thing that is so admirable about this record, there is little to no fear of making the risk of making something that you genuinely want to make, even if your audience, your fan base, isn't accustomed to this sound. He just wanted to make something that he seriously had an interest for, seriously had a love for, and I think he was very successful. I think he put in the work so well for bringing in these very talented writers and producers, and it shows. I felt so many moments on this record truly impressed me. There is plenty of highlights in here from Yachty that really showed that he can actually deliver a quality sound in the genre. Now sure, upfront delivery from Yachty on a song can improve. Certainly it can. A lot of things can be improved. Even conceptually, not everything really feels cohesive in here, especially when focusing on the topic of maturity. There's some really good moments on here, and there's some moments that don't really feel so relevant. But that does not change my thoughts onto this album. Overall, I think this is pretty solid. So I'm gonna give Yachty's Let's Start Here and 80%. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching the video. If you enjoyed, go on and like, share, and comment down below. And don't forget to subscribe for more content. Let me know what you guys thought of the record down below. And don't forget, in the description are my separate tracklist ratings for the album. So definitely check that out for yourselves. And don't forget to follow my links for all my social media accounts so you can keep on me on the daily. And I'm going to catch you in the next one. Deuces.
Don't ever tell me lies.